Hello and welcome back to module number 3. In this module, I divided into two parts. The second part is about the JavaScript, introduction to JavaScript, and the first part, which is going to be about designing graphics for the web. In this segment of the presentation, I'm going to go over again because some of you did not fully understand or say that I did not provide good explanation to the casting style sheet. What does it entail? Why is it so important? Then I'm going to go over the frame set in HTML. Why is it so popular? And there's a lot of example of nowadays to a template that you can download a template with HTML frame set in order for you to apply it to your website. And then I'm going to talk about web graphics. And I will talk, first of all, I will talk about a bitmap versus vector. I will talk about Photoshop. I will talk about web graphics. I will talk about limitation that we have with graphics and things to consider, especially nowadays that we can see everything through our phone. This is something that we need to consider when we are designing a website. So let's start with a casting style sheet. And one of the things that it allowed us to do is to have a body, background, and in this case, paragraph with a specific layout that differs from the background. In this case, the background will be yellow in comparison to the body that is lime. So we can do that in HTML. We can lay out it in HTML, but the beauty of the styling sheet is that you can have it as a link in order for you to be applied. You can apply two or more sheets into the HTML and you give it a ref. A ref is the location of the file. In this case is style 1 and style 2, and you locate it where the HTML knows where location is in order for it to be displayed. So again, you can see that you can see the style 1 and style 2 and what does it entail. So we can play with it and be able to apply different style into the HTML. That's something that the HTML by itself does not allow us to do. Example, font size, and something that the HTML does not allow us to do. So part of this style rule or statement is the property names, the declaration, is it extra large, large, or and background colors and everything else that can go inside this segment of the page. The syntax is again sector like a string, which is you can have multiple element types, you can have all the element types, you can have specific element by ID. By ID, which means that you declare it as ID with that particular background, and it can be repeated throughout the website. So again, the idea of P as a paragraph with a with ID, and in this case, it will highlight what is this paragraph means or what is this segment mean in the page itself. The style sheet is again is an ability to have more information or provide more ability to design the outline of the HTML page that you are assigning to, and you can take a special note, special tool or tool and be able to do that. I'm not going to go over how to construct the entire style sheet. There is a lot of reference, and I lay out for you in the website in Canvas about that. You can create a link with a special color. We can have a visited with a special color. over the mouse with a special color and activate with a different colors. All of that is part of, we want to make the user have a fully control, fully understand the design element, or to be engaged in the design element of the website. So I lay out everything out there, the style sheet and how it be applied, and the idea that we can use different font that might not exist in the HTML, and by doing that we are able to apply that. So the font size, in this case I use special font, and by using it I'll be able to apply to it and develop it. So again, look at the reference, look at examples. You can find a lot of examples and I'll provide you more. Next is the HTML framework. This is the outlook of the page. How do you want to have a header? You want to have content? How do you want to design your web page and the idea of it? When you have a framework, usually it's good to have two sets of frame. The left to the right, and this is where it defined by percentage, and you can see how it be applied into, again, the navigation bar, or the navigation is usually set up in a frame set, and the introduction is welcome to the course. So the idea is, again, you have a name, you have the specific page that you want to be displayed out of the framework, out of the frame, and the scrolling if you want to have a scrolling yes or no, and the frame border if you want to do that. So again, this is navigation, and this is what it looks like when we apply to it, and how to set it up. In this case, you can have no framework, also sometimes use that in order for you to do that. This is example of a frame set. This is how nowadays companies or individuals use that, and as you can see in the top, usually they have the navigation, and in the middle they have the content, and then in the bottom, usually they have more information, and by using it, it gives the idea of more organized data or organized content in order for the user to have more accessibility to the content that he or she wants to look for. Next, web design. The issue of technology is often being asked, what are we seeking? And the images that we see on the web, or when we are creating it in the computer, is basically based on pixel versus vector. And so in this case, the resolution, the monitor resolution, is the total number of pixels that we see. And so the idea here is that we have terminology of how we are seeing images, or how do we apply to them without or with the computer monitor or the phone display, and how to do that. So what are images is a basic question that we need to understand. We have photography, which can be scanned by a usual device or download. We have pictures, drawn or painted. We have movies, videos, and animation. But in the past, we used to look at images as vector versus pixel. And this is a really important thing, because each one of them consists of different structure and how it's built. So pixel is based on a grid plotting, and it stores an ability to store it. Vector is based on equation, based on plotting, and it how the process is intensive. So the idea here is that how do we measure the pixels versus the the idea of pixel versus vector and how we see it. This is why vectors look so good in any monitor. And when you see the idea of time frame, in 1981 we looked at black and white. In 82 we looked at Scream that also had two or three colors only. And nowadays we are looking at two types of images: bitmap versus vector. Each one of them has its own quality, and we need to consider them or to be aware of them when we are applying. Bitmap is the idea of photograph, computer painting, and video. It is the idea of dots, the idea of you can see it across or down from 160 pixel to 180, 800 to 600, and 14,000 to 10,050. This is the bitmap quality and what he brings. Dots spread out in sequence together as the image size changes. So the numbers of dots remains the same, and the best application or image editor for the bitmap is Photoshop. And I'll talk about Photoshop very shortly. The maps of dot is the idea of what we see inside. And as you can see here, we are building the images based on dots. And so each one of them represents something and how it applies. And we can also see that in images or pictures and how to apply that. Making bitmaps bigger, this is 100 resolution, this is 200 resolution, and this is 500 resolution. And this is again the issue of what are we looking for when we are using this type of image, what is the goal? If you look at the warning that I gave, or the sirens that I gave, is that when we have printer with 300 dpi, which is the quality of the image, or 600 dpi, monitors has the resolution of 72, and to download a picture from the internet, make sure it's big. So this is the warning about bitmap. Vector, on the other hand, is based on drawing and animation. It's point, lines, fills, and shapes, and this is very important. The lines, fills, and shape is what makes up the things. The instruction to the computer and the quality remain the same without any if we change the size of the image. So basically it's a high quality image that when we are using the phone and the ability to focus in, it allowed us to do that. So vector is a big plus on that. The most well-known software application that help us to create the vector is Adobe Illustrator. So it's the idea of points, lines, and fills that we are able to fill it up and see the difference. And again, we often see it in cartoons and often see it in illustration and so on. So again, this is 100%, this is 200%, and this is 500%. Again, the issue is what are we looking for and how do we do that? So bitmap, photograph, dots, and Adobe Illustrator. Vector is drawing, points, lines, and fills make up the content of the vector image, and it's been used by Adobe Illustrator. So what is Photoshop? It is the ability to edit your images. And so it's the ability to create high quality images. I will not go over how to generate a Photoshop image. There's a lot of video on the web on how to do that. I highly recommend you to do that and search to see what you can find. My recommendation in my short time that I have is the idea that you need to have a toolbar and the ability to have a size image, and make sure that it is consistent with the idea of image document size and ability to have how to apply it in both cases. So again, you can have a crop tool that allowed you to copy things and be able to use the RGB colors that is often used in the web, and usually in the web is usually considered 8 bytes channel, but nowadays with a high quality of monitors, we are seeing more and more users or professionals using 16-byte channel in order for them to do that. So again, you can create layers and be able to adopt the idea of what is it consists of and how to apply that. And this is an example of how to do that. Okay, so again, this is something that you can do by yourself, or you can see any other Photoshop videos that allow you to apply to it in order to do that. So the use of Photoshop is line drawing with colors of original photographic images. When we want to scale it down or to resize it, it's usually great. And the ability to convert it into GIF or JPEG is one of the things that is usually often being applied to. Do not use BMP because the high quality of the images is getting lost. I will provide you with Adobe Photoshop on the web and how to adopt that. One of the things that in the past we used to talk about graphic limitation is the user connection speed. If you are using your cell phone and you have not very fast connection, that might be limitation that you need to consider when you are starting to post images on the web. It is you are the user, and you need to think about the user when you are designing your ability. Screen size is also, and again, think about this, what is the typical screen size that the user have nowadays, and see how it can be applied to your design and the colors. We are talking about safe colors, and safe colors is between 265 versus 216. Nowadays we are moving towards 256 colors and not the scale back, the 216, because nowadays people buying more new devices, and as a result we can see more colors in our devices in our web. And use color picks in order for you to do that. One of the things that I highly recommend throughout the semester, use JPEG as a default because it has the highest quality image on the web. This is a default because GIF is usually a little bit scaled back with regard to the colors, and PNG is the less high quality on the three types. And the idea is that this is the best way to capture full color images, uses 60 million colors, and again, this is the way to optimize it and to use it. GIF is a little bit less high quality as the JPEG. It uses only 256 colors, but it has good ability to be condensed and in small size or weight, and that's why many people use it. But again, the quality is sometimes a problem. And then there is the PNG, and again, some people like that, especially in Microsoft environment. People like to use that. I myself don't. So it's up to you to decide if you think this is the best way for you to apply it. I would recommend, again, the JPEG as a format. One of the things that I need to talk about is the efficiency of web page layout. And web page layout has elements, as we learn about casting style at the beginning, about a framework after that we talked about, but we need to talk about common layout format. We need to talk about white space, which you need to have in order for us to have more ability to be the user be able to understand what's going on, and to have a visual balance in order for you to see and experience the layout. So the issue of activate color display, ability of color formats in HTML. This is the HTML basic format. This is what all computers see: the red, yellow, green, blue, and magenta. And this is how we apply it. We have safe colors, we have color of combination, we have color of transmissions, and font is also a big issue. Limitation, and again, serif fonts is often very well used in web design, and it is the ability to apply or to see it. It's a little bit more delicate compared to the sans serif font, which is more generic. So again, the issue of fonts and web, again, think about the font size, think about the issue of if someone wants to print your website, what is the output? Where is the ability to print it? How you provide that? So all of that are part of it. I will give you more information in the module about web design, and I hope that you enjoy that. I covered quite a lot of materials in one take. I hope it gave you some ideas of how do we determine what is usability website and what is not. The idea of layout on design, the idea of user strategy to control user focus on the page is something that we will talk throughout the semester. I promise I will not shine away from it, because this is something that is really important to me. So until next time, the next video is about JavaScript. I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Whew.